So what exactly is transcendental yoga? Let's try to understand. In what did we learn in transcendental knowledge? We learned so many things about transcendental knowledge about the Lord, right? Does anyone would
Yeah.
want to remember anything as such?
It's beyond
Yes.
material world, and it can be transcendental nature, food, work, or something else, sound.
Everything should be spiritual, divine nature, or spiritual food, spiritual
Perfect. We
habit.
discussed anything that is about divya or divine or anything as such, anything that is out of way beyond than the ordinary material world is called as transcendental. That's what we learned. And then Lord himself established as to what when he appeared, right? He spoke about as to when he appeared, he spoke about when how he gave was it the first time that he was giving upadesha or giving information to Arjuna,
Son,
or was it way beyond that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken?
way beyond.
It was spoken.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
Viswasa.
was way beyond
Viswan.
Bhagavad Gita. Yes, the first time it was spoken to the
Viswan.
Vivaswan. Lord spoke to Vivaswan, and then so on. It came almost to
Manu.
Ishvakumuni. Yes, Manus and
Th-
all that, and
Then
finally,
Ishwaku.
yes,
Ishwaku.
perfect, perfect. And after some time, the disciplic succession was lost. Then we saw Evam Parampara Praptim and all that, how the parampara was being taken care by the royal kings of that time. And finally, he had to again descend down to give the same knowledge of Bhagavad Gita once again. We
Yeah.
also learned about Krishna's appearance, how he appear in his own transcendental or the spiritual form. He does not have a material body. Then we saw the difference between jiva, that is we guys, and then we also learned about the appearances of the Lord, how he appear, and he appears basis three conditions. And what are the three reasons of his appearance? Anyone would want to answer?
To
Yada
save
yada
his
dharma sangnani.
devotees,
Perfect. To
To
save his
protect the
devotees.
devotees.
Very
Whenever
good.
to
dharma is
eliminate
under
the
danger.
To
demons.
Establish the dharma.
establish dharma.
Excellent.
And to
Excellent.
kill demons.
Yes, and to kill the demons or to annihilate the miscreants. Excellent. Excellent. Yes, these are the three reasons why he descend time and again he descends. And is there a particular time frame that he descends as such? Nothing as such. It is up to him whenever he want to descend, whenever he sees that there are some irreligious practices, that's where he comes down and he descends. And does karma apply to the Lord?
No.
No.
Karma
No.
does not even apply to the Lord because he doesn't have any material body. He just comes down to the material world. He's the one. Then we also learned about the Varnashrama system, and we also learned about the four Varnashrama system. Do we remember the four Varnashrama system? Chaturvarna
Yeah.
Maya system?
Yeah.
Yes.
Brahman,
The
Kshatriya,
Brahmana,
Brahmana,
Kshatriya,
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 Vaishya, Shudra.
Vaishya, and Shudra.
Shudra.
Kshatriya,
Perfect.
Vaishya.
Perfect.
Shudra.
And is my varna categorized because I'm born from a Brahmana family or a Kshatriya family?
No.
Karma or Guna.
No.
No, very
Karma.
good. It is based
It
on my
starts with the
karmas and
karma and guna.
By Guna.
gunas.
By
Yeah.
Guna.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. We saw that. And everyone ultimately surrenders to Lord, isn't it? That's what we learned yesterday. Either
Yes.
today or tomorrow, someone has to surrender to Lord. Today, we see that devotees who have faith in the Lord, we surrender, and there are atheist people or demoniac people whom we term them as. They do not want to surrender to the Lord. How long will they go on? They have to come into the birth cycle of repeated life and death, life and death, life and death. They have to take care, and finally, one way or the other, they have to surrender. But the best part of us we surrendering is because we are not in an animalistic life, we are a human life. So this is the best time to surrender to God. Yes, what else did we learn? Does the varna system applies to Lord?
No.
It doesn't
No.
apply to the Lord because he's aloof, he's all pervading, he's aloof, he's the one who has created it. Why did he create it? Was it a biased kind of a decision that he created it?
No.
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 That everyone can live in harmony and peace so that they identify their gunas based on their gunas and karmas, and that's how the Varna system was created. What else did we learn? There were certain intricacies also we learned yesterday.
There are three types of karmas. Is it
Yes.
akarma, karma, and vikarma?
And
Vikarma, karma.
Yes. What is Vikarma?
It's
forbidden
a forbidden action.
Forbidden action.
Forbidden.
Perfect. Anything against the injunctions. Injunctions means it's a rule that is there in the scriptures or the shastras. Anything that is beyond what you call that is listed in the shastras and someone doesn't want to follow them, that is called as vikarma. What is karma?
Karma is with
Actions of
attachment.
the
You
Shastra.
do karma with
Follow to do
Material
prescribed
work.
duties. To do the
Yes.
prescribed duties.
To do the prescribed duties and attach to the fruits as well. Perfect. And under karma, there is something called as sakama karma, and there is a second term called as
Nishikam.
perfect nishkama karma. In sakama
Nishkama.
karma, yes, in sakama karma, I'm expecting the
Fruits.
very good fruits, and in nishkama karma,
I'm not expecting to.
no benefits. You expect no benefits.
I'm not expecting anything, but I'm still working. I'm attached to the work because I have to work. Perfect. And which one is more highest? Is Nishkama Karma higher or is Bhakti Yoga highest?
Bhakti.
Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti Yoga is way higher than the Nishkama Yoga or the Jnana Yoga or the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, we will see that tomorrow. So it is way higher than anything Bhakti Yoga. And do I have to follow in a normal one after the other the ladder, or can I straight away take the lift?
Straight away,
No,
straight
we
to
should
Bhakti
slowly
Yoga.
progress.
Yes, I can straight away take the lift. I don't have to progress slowly as well. I can straight away take the lift. I can I can surrender to the Lord. Yesterday we saw about how do I learn about the Lord? Can I learn about Krishna from anybody and everybody?
From Guru.
Prescribed guru or authentic guru.
Yes, very good. We learned about yesterday there are only 4 sampradayas, and what are these sampradayas for? What is the meaning of a sampradaya and a disciplic succession? Yesterday there was a question and we answered that as well.
Yeah.
It's a group.
Bona fide guru.
Yes, sampradaya is a set of
Sampradaya.
rules or injunctions which are there as a part of the sampradaya, and what you call parampara is a disciplic succession which all the gurus, the bona fide gurus, are following as per that particular sampradaya. And which sampradaya do we follow? ISKCON follow?
Gaudiya.
The
Gaudiya Madhav, yes, the Vaishnava Sampradaya or the Gaudiya Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya, and there are other 4 Sampradayas. And what exactly is the importance of a guru? Why do we need a guru in our life?
He guides us through the right path.
It helps us to in a right path. Why can't we take a right path?
Elevator.
Mhm.
No,
We cannot.
we need a guru to set as an example so that we can follow that example and we can walk behind the correct set of principles.
Good answer.
No,
But
it's according to the shastras. They help us guide through the shastras.
they help us guide through the Shastras. Very good. But ISKCON Mangalore is so kind enough, so merciful enough. They are teaching 18 days course. We can learn through the 18 days course. We can become experts and we can take decisions on our own, isn't
We
it?
need to see whether the guru is also following what the guru is.
Acharya. Is
Maybe
Acharya.
maybe all the acharyas are following.
We need to serve the Guru.
Whenever we have any issue, we can always refer back to Guru to understand what is correct, what is wrong. He can guide us.
Yes. We need to take the shelter of a guru. We need to understand what exactly it is. The main thing what I was looking for is, remember, right from day 1, day 2, I'm talking about 4 defects. We are born with 4 defects.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are the 4 defects? Do we remember?
Illusion.
Very good. What's the second one?
Cheating.
Indecisiveness.
Kam, Krodh, Lobh.
Making mistakes.
Oh, those are senses. Making mistakes. Very good. What's the third one?
Maya.
Illusion. That's the first one. We discussed making mistakes. What's the third one?
Cheating propensity.
Cheating propensity. And the last
Cheating
one?
propensity. Is it the last?
Maya.
That was the first one.
Greed.
Defective senses.
Defective senses. Very good. Yes,
Yeah.
greed comes as a part of the defective senses. So these are the four things. We are always illusioned. We have defective senses. We are born with defective senses. And we have a cheating propensity as well. Right? And we also understood in day 3 what is the enemy of our soul.
Lust is an
Lust.
enemy.
Lust is the enemy of our soul, right? And if we achieve something because of too much of lust, lust is an intense desire, isn't it? Lust is the intense desire to achieve something. And if we achieve something, or if we what you call achieve whatever we want, what does it increase to?
Greed and anger.
Excellent. Greed. And if we don't achieve it, it will get into anger.
Anger.
How do we control them?
By chanting.
By
By
With
chanting?
chanting.
chant.
By associating right people.
Hare Krishna mantra.
Yes,
Nishkama karma.
Making balance.
very good. By serving the devotees, by serving the God. I hope we remember ABCD formula.
Yes. Association, A for association,
Mhm.
B for scripture, book reading,
And
Book reading or Shastras.
and
C for,
shastras.
and D for
C for chanting.
chanting.
excellent. Yes,
Devotion.
diet and
Devotion.
C for devotion.
excellent.
Diet and devotion.
Perfect, perfect. And that is how, if we remember, we closed our transcendental knowledge with saying that once we get this transcendental knowledge, once we understand the tattva about who Lord Krishna is, it will destroy all the karmic reactions, and what you call, that way it will liberate us, where we'll be able to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. And remember, our aim is not just liberation, but going back and experiencing those rasas. Remember, faintly I discussed something about there are some rasas as well, right? We will learn about them later, right? So what I'm going to do now is, with your permission, I'm going to mute all here so that we get into the chapter now. Yes. Okay, so today we will see as to what is chapter 5 all about. We already learnt about Karma Yoga, and today it is Karma Yoga and action in Krishna consciousness. Let me pull the screen up. Can you please see if we are able to see? No, that one. Okay. Perfect. So before we get into the Karma Yoga action in Krishna consciousness, then we will what you call offer our prayers to the Lord, and all our gurus, and offer our prayers to the Lord, and then we will start with our topic. Right. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Om Tat Sat. Yes, these are the beautiful deities of Mayapur. Okay, so we will be learning from the book, from his teachings. All the teachings that we are learning from are based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Right. So once again, just quickly to summarize, we started off with chapter 1, where we saw the observing of the army, where all the mood was set as to how to take on the learning or the teachings of this Bhagavad Gita. Then he went in between the armies. There were signs of victory. He observed both the armies, he in the sense Arjuna, and as usual, there was compassion, loss of enjoyment, fearful, sinful reaction, what you call destruction of family traditions. There were many arguments which he placed in front of Lord Krishna. And just like us, we have many questions when we face. So at the end of our session, maybe I'm going to ask you one particular question after we learn today. Let's see what will be your responses. Suppose that when he had these questions, then we entered into second chapter, right, where we learnt about guru, the importance of a guru, and then we learnt about two dharmas, which is swadharma and nitya dharma. Then we learnt about once everything, when a person knows about the confidential knowledge as well as the prescribed duties, how would one act, and how would one become someone called as a self-realized soul, or also called as a atmarama or a sthita pragya, right? How does he act? How does he sit? How does he talk? We saw all those things on day 2. And then we moved on into chapter 3, where again he started asking question, wait a minute, so what do I have to do now? Should I fight or should I renounce? Because you're saying fighting will lead into sinful reactions. Then that's where we learned about certain prescribed duties, what one should take up to. And then we learnt about all the various yoga ladders, starting from the animalistic life, where they don't know, they do not have any conscious at all. And once we have conscious, then we learnt about karma kanda. Karma kanda slowly becomes into karma yoga, right? And once karma yoga comes into picture, in karma yoga there are two parts of it. One is a sakama karma and nishkama karma. We saw that as well. And post that, okay, I see a hand raised. uh, yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry to bother in between, but is there another link where it is also running? Because I guess there are some participants waiting on the other link as well. So
There's only one link, Mataji. We are not running the YouTube live today because there are very less participants.
Okay, so this is the same one which is started little late, is it?
Yes, it's the same link, Mataji, which is the same link where we are running other sessions as well, including Tamil. So when the Tamil exactly closes around like 10 minutes to 9, then we take over with the same link.
Okay, all right, Prabhu. There were like some participants waiting, so I just wanted to check. Thank you very much. Sorry to bother.
Hare Krishna, no problem at all. No problem. Sorry about that. Okay, so we learned about the yoga ladders. Then we saw after Karma Kanda, one believes in the God, looks out for the God, and then he gets into Karma Yoga section, right? The Karma Yoga is divided or bifurcated into two parts. One is Sakama Karma Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga. Sakama Karma Yoga is where a person surrenders to God, but he surrenders to God because of material benefits. He's still attached. He wants to gratify his senses, and he's not renouncing the fruits. While he offers the fruits, he's still not renounced. However, the Nishkama Karma, he would want to give away the fruits and everything. He is not attached, but he's attached to the work. Then we saw the Jnana Yoga part, These people are almost completely renounced, the Jnana Yogis. However, they would want to elevate their mind. They would want to increase their intelligence. That's the reason they want to know more about Lord Krishna. Then we saw the next part of it, which is Dhyana Yoga. We will elaborately, or we will in detail, we will learn about Dhyana Yoga tomorrow, where they will try to block their 8 limbs, or Ashtanga Yoga, Ashtangs they will try to block, and then they will try to break through the Kapala and try to reach the Lord, where the soul pops out, which will connect to the Lord. I hope we also remember the confidential knowledge about the soul, where we discussed we are not the body, we are the soul. And also we discussed about the three forms of God realization or Lord realization, which is a Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and the Bhagwan realization, right? And then we learned about action or renunciation. And moving on further, we also learned about the position of Krishna in detail yesterday. We just took a detailed recap. Now we will go on because we almost spent like 20 minutes. Now let's get into today's topics. Now, what are we going to learn today is, again, Arjuna comes back with a set of doubts here. Doubts. The entire Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking all questions. Why? Because for the benefit of us. Then we will see how we can act in Krishna consciousness, and we will understand the knowledge of the three doers. I think by now you have already would have guessed it, because we give all the clues right from day 2, day 3 onwards. There are three doers. So today we will see who exactly are those three doers, and we will see how a person, after understanding the prescribed duties, after understanding the transcendental knowledge about the Lord, after understanding the concept of how one can act in Krishna consciousness, and also after gaining the knowledge of three doers, how would a self-realized soul, a person in Krishna consciousness, will see everyone with equal vision, Samadarshina. We will see that, and then we will end the session with our favorite peace formula which Lord gives in. Okay, so moving on, the first one, we will go through the first verse over here, where again, as I said, Arjuna asks with questions. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha samsashi Yakshreyetayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce the work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" So, Arjuna straight away asks with a question. Oh Lord, what what am I what have I supposed to do here? Can you please even tell me? First you're asking me to renounce, and then now I'm in the middle of a battlefield. You please tell me which one is better, work or renunciation. So this is where the what you call Krishna talks about. I hope we still remember we spoke about premature renunciation. What happens if somebody is completely or not purified and immature? He becomes a mithyachari or a pretender. I hope we remember that. Right? We spoke all those things in from chapter 2 to chapter 3, and then we also spoke about at the end of the chapter 3 how a Lord was asking Arjuna, please wake up, just wake up and go ahead and fight, because you are Kshatriya and your job is to protect the family as well as your entire family. The entire family is nothing but the kingdom, right? So once one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, this knowledge will free them from any sort of a reaction. Why any sort of a reaction? Remember yesterday I said, once you are in Krishna consciousness, that is akarma, right? It is not about karma or vikarma, but once you are in akarma, right? So akarma is Krishna consciousness. It does not have bad reactions or it does not have good reactions. So today, if I'm doing good deeds, I will get some. If I'm doing pious credits, I will get some pious credits to my bank balance, right? Let's say if I have 5 pious credits and Can I do a bad credit so that 1 will nullify and I will remain with 4? No, that is wrong. So those are all unnecessary speculation and mental uh, concoction. So those are all wrong. So however, if I'm acting in Krishna consciousness, because I will not be expecting, or I'm not even gratifying my senses, neither I'm expecting the fruits from one. So that's exactly for me, neither there is any credit that comes to me, because I am always what you call surrendered to the Lord, thinking, oh Lord, you do whatever you would want to do, because I do not have any what you call, I do not have any goal. My only goal in life is to go back to Godhead. I do not want to get into the entanglements of life and death, life and death. I just want to go back to Godhead and I want to serve you. That is the only thing that is there. Right, so we will move on to the next presentation, because everything and anything that should be connected to Krishna, that becomes transcendental or spiritual. We learned that yesterday as well. So this is what we discussed, a mithyachari, because this particular mithyachari, or a pretender who renounced, thinking that he has completely renounced, but he's still attached to the fruits or the material benefits of it. He's not completely renounced. So but if we see here, we have the devotees or the Vaishnavas, right? We have the Maharaj. While he's a king, he's still doing his activities as a servant. On the Rath Yatra festivals and all, he's still doing as a servant. So he's working with devotion. So this is what we term them as Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. This is what is written in the Shastras, right? So what exactly is Yukta Vairagya? There are certain 6 urges of our body. Remember when we were talking about the tongue, the taste, the anger, all those things, there are certain, when we read the book as Upadeshamrita, the scriptures which has been written by Srila Rupa Goswami, and also Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu which has been written, all the informations are there, right? So these people are called as Falgu Vairagya, or the so-called Markata Vairagya. It means they feel these persons are eager to achieve renunciation, right? For them, they think that, okay, I just want to liberate myself, and what you call, they think that they are almost liberated, but they are still materially connected, because, and that is why we call them as an incomplete renunciation. However, if we see, Yukta Vairagya is somebody who is not attached to anything, right? There are various what you call types of devotees which we will learn, what is a basic devotee, intermediate devotee, like Madhyamadhikari and all that, Kanishta and all. At this point of time, I do not want to confuse you people, because we are still learning all these concepts. Maybe at a later point of time, we will try to understand them. But at this point of time, while we are entering into Krishna consciousness, we do not want to. For now, let's try to understand that Yukta Vairagya is the appropriate way of renouncing our life, where we are doing our prescribed duties. Just like yesterday, one of our Matajis was asking, yes, I have to work, Prabhu. Yes, perfect. We have to work. If we have to do sadhana, we have to take care of our family. We have to earn. If I do not earn, I cannot do my sadhana well. For my simple living, to take care of my family, I have to earn. At the same time, our acharyas also say, in a grahastha life, which we all are, most of the people who are married here comes into the grahastha ashram. So we are following Krishna consciousness, right? At the same time, we have our attachments. What are the attachments? We are not attached to anything as such, but we are offering everything to the Lord. At the same time, we have to do our preaching as well. So that is what we are trying to say here. We earn with a simple living, high thinking, and we offer everything to the Lord. We leave it to the Lord. So let's move on further. So this was a particular question which Arjuna's confusion was, which we saw. So should I stop sowing the tree, or should I stop expecting the fruits of it? Now, this is what the question was. And then we will, I think, try to relate it to story, a small story or a pastime about King Nrega, and try to understand, in case you are aware of this, maybe we can just hear. Otherwise, I would like to try to relate over here, which will come into picture about Yukta Vairagya and the Markata Vairagya. Do you want to explain that?
Hare Krishna. I will just tell this story in a very short way, where we had this. If you see the first picture, we have this lizard which is sitting in the well, and once what happened is all the sons of Krishna were playing in the garden, and while they were playing in the garden, they found this lizard which was sitting in the well. It's a huge lizard which was sitting in the well, and all of the children of Krishna were just in the garden, and they saw that this poor lizard was sitting in the well. They were thirsty, and they saw why is this lizard in the well? It's such a huge, nice lizard, and they tried to help the lizard out, thinking that it's so sad that it's not going to get any food in this dried up well. Let us bring it out. It's a huge lizard sitting in the well. Then they could not bring it out, and immediately they ran to their father, and they brought Krishna to this place. And Krishna came to this well, and he picked it up in his left hand, and he got it out. And as soon as he got it out, this particular lizard turned himself into a very beautiful man. And as soon as he turned himself to a very beautiful and nice person, he was shocked to see that this is actually some very he's coming from an aristocratic family, and who is this is what Krishna was trying to understand. So he said, this huge large lizard was actually King Nriga, and he was asked by Supreme Personality of Godhead that as soon as he saw Supreme Personality of Godhead, he paid his obeisances, and then because he touched him, he was relieved, and he turned himself into a king again. And Krishna asked, what happened in the past that you have turned yourself, what happened in the past that you have got this kind of body. Then King Nriga started telling that he is actually coming from Ikshwaku dynasty, and even he was a very, very pious king, where he had done a lot of charity, and in charity he had disposed a lot of amount, and he had taken care of all the wealth. And also, after paying his obeisances, he told that you have known, oh Krishna, you know everything in the past and present and future, whatever is there, you already know it. But since you're asking, because you already know everything, you're in cognizance of everything, but since you're asking, I will narrate all my story that has happened. And he started saying that in the past, I had for some reason I had degraded myself. We had seen the yoga ladder where karma kanda activities were performed by all the kings, and we think that karma kanda activities are actually okay to perform, but it's not really going to help, is what we have to understand over here in the story. So here he said that it has been, he had charitably disposed a lot of wealth from his kingdom, and the amount of grains that he had given was like as much as it's equal to the sand that's on earth. That's the amount of grains that he had given in charity. And also he had given away many cows, and the cows that he had given away was equal to the dust on earth. That's what he had claimed, that that's the amount of dust, that's the amount of cows that he had given. And he was supposed to be the king of the entire universe, entire earth, is what we have to understand here, because he was so rich, he was such a big king, he was able to do such a big charity. Now he had given a lot of cows in charity, and also he had followed all the principles of karma kanda activities, and there was no discrepancy that he had done. And finally in the Bhagavad Gita, like he says that even though he had performed so much in charity, all of a sudden there was a small mistake that had taken place. What was that? That is that even though he had performed many yagnas, one small mistake is what he had happened in this particular story, was that then he had given, while he was giving charity, a huge herd of cows were given to one particular brahmana, which you see in the picture over here with a red dress. King is here, and then also we have two brahmanas who are fighting with each other. So he had given a herd of cows, and one cow happened. So it so happened that they one cow just hovering around, it came back to the herd. And when it came back to the herd, immediately, because this cow was given in charity already to the brahmana, the king did not realize that this was already given in charity, and with another herd, he gave away another herd of cows to another brahmana. So they both got into a conflict that this cow was given to me, and you've taken it now, and I don't want, and I want this cow back. So the original person who took the cow, the original brahmana who took the cow, started having this conflict, and they started fighting. And in exchange, King Riga became very sad that, in spite of having so much of a charity, he said, okay, now I don't want you, both of you, to have a conflict. Rather, I can give 100,000 cows in exchange. And even though such a proposal was given, none of the brahmanas were ready to accept it, and finally he was cursed. And when he was cursed, he fell, as after getting cursed, and then he spent his rest of the life, and then he, after death, he went to the Yamraj. And when he went to Yamraj, he had seen all his pious and impious credits. And when he saw that he had only one impious credit, where he had a curse from these two brahmanas, and after because of this curse, they were fallen. He was given a choice that, since you've done so many pious acts, and also you have one impious act to take care of also, so what would you like to experience first? Was it hell or heaven? Then he said, let me first experience hell, and then I will take care of my, I will take the next step. Then he said, okay. As soon as he said this, he started falling deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and he saw himself. The next thing that he see, that he has been falling for so much time, and then finally he fell into this well, which was a dried up well. And so fortunate that Krishna himself picked him up, and with a touch of Krishna, he turned himself into a lizard. So what we understand by this is that, in spite of, even if you're doing how much ever good acts, or how much ever bad acts, how much ever good acts you perform, even if you've done one bad act, in case of karma kanda, the first step in the yoga ladder, you still have a chance that you will fall. So to relieve yourself from all of this, you need to give away all the credits, all the results to Krishna, so that you are not binding yourself, so that you don't experience this hell and heaven. Rather, you move out of hell and heaven and beyond hell and heaven. This is what we understand. That's the meaning of the fruits that we were referring in the picture. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll move on further. Right. So that was a story about Kring Riga to relate how does the fruits come into picture, and if somebody would want to renounce with the what you call Yukta Vairagya or Falgu Vairagya, which one you have to choose. That was all about King Riga. Right. So this is where his Lord starts answering to the questions of Arjuna, which he was asking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah Karma Yogascha Nihashreyasha Karava Ubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. What exactly is he trying to say now? Is what we are wondering, right? It's quite confusing, right? Let's read the sentence once again in case we are confused. The personality of Godhead replied, stating that the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. Both of them are good for liberation. However, of the two, if you want me to say, working in devotional service is better. So Lord himself is saying, please work, but work in a devotional service. So he's saying akarma. He's saying do akarma. Akarma means You have to continue your prescribed duties, at the same time connect with the Lord, offer all your fruits, everything. Do not have any sense gratification or any thoughts or any material desires, whatever you would do. And that is the best way of renunciation, rather than just renouncing your life, and at the end you again come back and say, oh, I wanted to enjoy this, I forgot, now let me go back and enjoy, right? That is the worst thing, is what Lord is trying to explain. We just learned about what is Falgu Vairagya and Yukta Vairagya. If you see in a Yukta Vairagya, what the person would say is, whatever I'm doing is everything for you. He will disconnect from the material world and he will connect where? He will connect to the Lord. Moving on further, but do it for me and I will take care of you, take care of all the fruits for you. So that way you don't even have to worry about it, Arjuna. That's where the Lord is asking for the question that was raised by Arjuna, where he said, so should I stop sowing the seed, or should I just take care of the fruits? What should I focus on? That's what he was asking. So moving on further, these are the what you call things about what people think in terms of a devotee and the non-devotee. The devotee will always say, it's not what I have done. I have not done anything. I'm just doing my prescribed duty. It's all Krishna's mercy. He's showering his mercy. However, a non-devotee will be just bothering about his earnings. Right? Now we will see how a person acts in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so moving on to this particular slide, we will see how a person acts in Krishna consciousness. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. So remember, we were talking our senses, the urge of our senses are so powerful that we can't even control them. No matter what, how much ever we try, we cannot control them. The other day, I think in day 3, someone was asking, Prabhu, we are chanting, while we are chanting also, there are so many thoughts that come to our mind. Yes, it comes to our mind. What do we do in that case, Prabhu? Yes, till today it comes to our mind when I'm chanting as well. When we are chanting, the devotees chanting as well, it still comes to our mind. So what do? We again try to focus on the lotus feet of the Lord and try to bring back all our senses and focus on the bring back a mind and control by utilizing our intelligence. So this way we are not entangled by the 3 modes of material nature, that is Mahamaya or the Prakriti. We are not even entangled with it. Otherwise, living it is next to impossible to live in this particular material world. It is so tough that no matter what, no matter I'm a devotee who's in Krishna consciousness, for me also the Mahamaya tries to allure, tries to entangle me. However, I have to control my senses, utilize my mind with my intelligence focus in such a way I connect to the Lord, and always connect to the Lord. Remember, we spoke about always remember Krishna, never forget about Krishna. That way we will be able to act in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it is very difficult. It is very difficult, because every time we always think, yes, how do I engage my senses, how do I engage my senses? Now the easiest way, after learning about these transcendental topics, the easiest way to always engage the services is devotional service. Yesterday one of the Mataji was saying, early morning when I wake up, I would love to listen to Krishna Katha. Very simple. Always the best thing that we can think of, our acharya say, the most favorite thing or the best thing that you can, Krishna, listening to Krishna Katha. And the what you call the next best thing that you can list off, again Krishna Katha from home, from a devotee. That is the best part of it. Listening to Krishna Katha. That's the best part of it. What was the result? The result is there will be liberation. It's not the mukti or the moksha which we are looking at. However, we are looking at going back to the spiritual world and serving the Lord over there. Right? That is what comes into picture. Right. So moving on, we will move on to the next slide because we have understood more and more about this in terms of what are the actions and what are the reasons. Because devotee is will always think that he's a servant of the other Vaishnavas and the devotees, and he would like to serve the Lord as well. And that's exactly how he will elevate his pure consciousness. Remember, I was talking about in the material mode there are three gunas. One is goodness, one is a mode of goodness, the second one is a mode of a passion, and the third one is a mode of ignorance. However, a person who's in Krishna conscious will not be in this any of these modes, because a person will be always in a higher mode called as pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Right? So that's exactly how they will increase a pure consciousness. And what would happen when you increase your pure consciousness? It leads to the mind and sense control. And why the mind and sense control are very, very important? Because they are so agitated in this age of Kali. They are so agitated, it can't even stay for a moment. Why it can't stay for a moment? Because the soul is highly active. It can't be inactive at all. It can't even stop for a moment. It's always highly active. Okay. So we'll move on to the next slide and see how do we control. These are the 9 processes of devotional service, right, which are there in our scriptures. It's clearly mentioned in our scriptures, and in Srimad Bhagavatam emphasizes about these 9 processes of devotional service. What are the 9 processes of this devotional service? I hope everyone is aware. Some way or the other we have read about it, or maybe we have not read about it. The first one is Shravanam. Shravanam means we are hearing. That's how we are purifying our ears. And then Kirtanam. Remember what the karmis do? The karmis listen to the loud music. They enjoy the movies. They listen to the loud music. We also enjoy the loud music. But we chant the glories of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. We do kirtan. We do bhajans and kirtan. We enjoy. For example, I think you would have already received a message from our wonderful admin team on this particular coming Ekadashi. I think on 8th. Yes, yeah, on this particular Ekadashi, again, we are hosting what you call the reciting of the entire 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. You would want to participate, you can block your calendar and participate for that as well. Right, that was about Kirtanam, Vishnu Kirtanam. And then Smaranam, remembering. Remember, this was the first line which we established in day 2. In all probability, I think we established in day 1 as well. What is the line, the favorite line, or my all-time favorite line? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That's the best part of it. And the fourth one, right, out of the 9 devotional services, the fourth one is Pada Sevanam. We see always Lakshmi massaging the feet of the Lord. She's always serving the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And in Smaranam, it was Prahlad Maharaj who was always remembering, right? How was he always remembering? Before his birth itself, he got to know about Lord Krishna before his birth, because Narada Muni came in and he was giving all the teachings to his mom, and that's how he was able to get all the information about. And chanting or kirtanam comes into Sukadev Goswami. He was the what you call highly elevated in that. And when it comes to Parikshit Maharaj, it was about hearing, right? We have given all the information here. And Archanam is deity worship. So with the deity worship, which of the senses that you will be utilizing? The touch, the sense of touch we will be utilizing. So you can purify the senses of touch by touching the form of the Lord, by serving the Lord, by offering flowers to the Lord. All those things comes in the deity worship. Then Vandanam, praying to the Lord by bowing down to the Lord, right? Ashtanga Pranam and Shashtanga Pranam, right? Panchanga Pranam, which is done by a woman, and then men do the Shashtanga Pranam. So praying to the Lord, Vandanam. Dasyam, right? Becoming a servant. Who was the Dasyam? The biggest of the Dasyam was Hanuman, right? That way he was serving one of the expansions of Lord Krishna, which is Rama. And then Sakhyam, which is the best thing is friendship. Sakhyam is friendship, which was the best friend was Arjuna. That's exactly why the Lord chose him. There were two criterias yesterday. One was you have to be a pure devotee and a friend. That's how he chose, Lord chose Arjuna to give him the Bhagavad Gita. And the last one is complete surrender. Complete surrender, right? Bali Maharaj was the one who was Atmanivedanam. So these are the Navavida Bhakti, which is also there. This is the scriptural injunction which is there from the Bhagavatam. Once we get into Bhagavatam, we will find that in the seventh canto, it is mentioned. Moving on. Yes, we will see. Moving on. Brahmani adhya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyatena sapapena padmapatram ivambhasha. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by the sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. I'm sure most of us are aware of, almost everyone will be aware if you have seen a lotus plant or a lotus tree. The lotus is almost in a pond, right? It's almost in the mud and the pond. However, if you see, the leaf doesn't get, the mud doesn't get stuck onto the lotus leaf. Similarly, a devotee of the Lord, there is no lipati at all, right? It's like nothing gets affected. He's way beyond, because he's already cleansed his senses. He knows how to control his senses. That's the best part of the devotee of the Lord, right? For him it doesn't matter at all. No matter if there is a non-devotee around also, still he knows the realizations. He knows what the realizations are. He knows that everything and anything belongs to the Lord. He knows the kota principles that in Upadeshamrita, Lord clearly explains about kota. And what do I mean by kota? Our portion, right? We should not even what you call think or desire more for what we are expected of. Remember, I was giving a small analogy of, let's say there is a bag full of rice that is lying on the road or on the street. What would happen if the birds or maybe the dogs or cats, what would they do? They might come back and they eat their part of it, and they'll go back. However, a man, a jiva, as and when he sees a bag full of rice, he will turn left, right. Is there anyone who's looking at me? No, there's no one. Apart from picking up the rice, he will pick up the, apart from picking up that portion of the rice which he wants, he'll pick up the entire bag of the rice and he would like to take it over. So that is called as lording over. Lording over, those are the desires, right? Actions. How does a devotee act? How does a devotee act? He acts without any attachment. Why? Because he does not have any desires at all, and he always surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord, and he acts according to the scriptural injunctions, because he has got the transcendental knowledge, and he knows that the entire anything and everything belongs to the Lord. And how does he know that? He engages into Krishna consciousness, and he engages into the service of the Lord. So that way, this particular person is on the platform of what? Which kind of a karma? He's on the platform of Nishkama Karma Yoga. For him, he does not incur any sin. Once he comes into Nishkama Karma Yoga, still he is attached to the work, but slowly when he's serving the Lord, when he's chanting, automatically it turns into Bhakti Yoga. We don't even have to worry about it. And that is the analogy which Lord is trying to explain here with the analogy of a lotus leaf or a lotus plant. Ivambhasha, Patram, Padma Patram, Ivambhasha. He does not desire for any results at all. Right, moving on. This was the thing which we were waiting for, or we have already given the clues, and I'm sure you would have realized it by now. This is knowledge of the three doers, right? This is the jiva. As I said, the soul is always desiring. It never stays inactive. It's highly active, remember? And using his free will. What is our free will? Does many of us, sorry, what happened? Can't, you can see it. No, that's fine. Sorry about that. So the jiva always desires, and because of our free will, what happened? We wanted to enjoy away from the Lord when we were eternally with the when the spiritual world, when we were serving the Lord, we wanted to enjoy because we were envious of the Lord. And He doesn't force us. Remember, day one, many questions popped up saying, "Oh, if Lord knows everything, He knows that He has to kill. Why doesn't He change the mind of Duryodhana? Why doesn't He change the mind of Dhritarashtra?" He doesn't. He doesn't force, saying, "Come, serve me, love me, just offer your surrender to me." He doesn't force anyone. That's exactly why we have today atheist, and that's exactly why we have the demoniac nature as well today or tomorrow. Today they might not surrender to the Lord, but definitely they have to surrender to the Lord. They would want to be in the material world no matter how long they want to enjoy in the material world. So using his free will, the soul desires, right? As and when the soul desires, what happens? We have the Paramatma within us. The Paramatma, the super soul, sanctions it. How does he sanctions it? Based on two criterias. As and when he fulfills the desire based on two criterias. What is a desire this person is desiring? And then what his karma balance? Based on his karmic balance, he fulfills or he sanctions it. Now, when he sanctions it, he gives the order to the material nature. Why he gives the order to the material nature? The material nature is the one who's taking care of the material world. We saw that yesterday when we were differentiating between the jiva as well as the Paramatma. The material nature carries out all the actions to suit based on the desires which we are or the jiva desires in this particular material world. That is what we can understand. So these are the three doers, right? So we utilize our mind and senses and everything, and that is how once we utilize our mind and senses and everything, we desire for it. As in when we desire, the soul desires, and immediately the Paramatma looks at it as to what is the soul desiring. Does he have any karma balance? And that is exactly we get into he gives an instruction to what you call to the material nature, and the material nature fulfills this particular desire of us. Okay, I see a hand raised. Yes, Mataji, Ruchi Mataji.
Sir, I wanted to ask,
Was it my
जैसे
mistake?
a soul. Hare Krishna, sir.
We can't hear you, Mataji.
Can you hear me now?
If it's a
Hello?
question, can we park your question, please? We will take the question at the maybe in another five slides. I would take another
Okay,
10
no
more
problem.
minutes and we should be
No
done.
problem.
We
Okay,
can't hear
okay.
you though. Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Right. So the soul resides happily here in this material world. So the material world is called, at times it's referred, not at times, it's referred in the scriptures as nine gates. Right? We are in the nine gates of hell. It's a so-called like the nine gates, or we are living in the city of nine gates. First of all, first we established that this is Dukhalayam and Ashashwatam. And then we also said that this is like a jail. Now, what am I talking about? The city of nine gates. Because what are those nine gates? We have two eyes, right? And then we have two nostrils. Then we have two ears. Then we have a mouth. Then we have anus. And then we have the genitals. So these are the nine gates. So these are the urges that we have to control. Okay, we forget because of our forgetfulness. We try to keep on urging our senses, and with the soul desires every now and then it keeps desires. Then how can we control these desires? We can control this desire by understanding the transcendental knowledge. We will understand that our what is our real position. What is our real position? That we are not this material body, we are the soul, and the soul is supposed to connect to the Supreme Lord. And that is how we will understand. And we will also understand that we have been suffering here for ages. Now that we understood that we are suffering here for ages, and once we understand that we are unnecessarily getting into the bodily activity, we will detach all the bodily activity and we will control all these senses and utilize our senses in all the 9 devotional service, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Pada Sevanam, and all those activities, deity worship, and everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. From this, we will move on to the next section of it. Now, once we are stabilized in Krishna consciousness, let's see how a Krishna consciousness person is able to see with a equal vision. This is one of the favorite verses or most important verses. विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्रह्मणे गविहस्तिनि सुनि चैव स्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Who's a dog eater? Who's an outcast, or who's the lowest of the mankind is called as a dog eater. But however, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, a person who's a self-realized soul, right? He will be able to see a Pandita, a cow, right? As the picture is shown here, he will be able to see the Paramatma in everyone. For him, it doesn't matter whoever it is, there is no differentiation at all, right? He will understand that all the living entities are Anu, and there is one Paramatma which is Vibhu, and he sees Vibhu in everybody because he understands that the Lord is witnessing within us. Remember, we spoke about those two birds who are sitting. One is we, the Jiva, who's enjoying the fruits, and the other one is just sitting over there and observing. We saw all those things. So, a learned man will understand all these things because he understands the supreme position of the Lord. For him, he knows his the quota system as well, how much he has to enjoy, right? However, a person who has a mundane vision, he will identify as, oh, I'm a human. This particular thing is or this particular jiva is a cat or a dog, and all those things. Now, what is the basis of this particular equal vision? With spiritual equality of living entities as a spirit soul, he will understand, he will be able to differentiate between what is spirit and what is matter, right? He will understand that all the bodies are material bodies which are prone to in this material world. However, he knows the tattva of the spirit soul, and with that understanding of a soul and a super soul, he will be able to quantify that we are present in each and every body and we should treat with a equal vision. That is the aim of this particular verse at all, the verse which we are seeing. He will see the equanimity in mind, equanimity in soul, equanimity in senses. There will not be any more illusion at all. Remember, we were talking about those 4 defects. He will be able to understand the various stages of, once he gets into a devotional service, there are 9 stages, which we will see that later as well, as per the part of Bhakti Lata Bija as written in the scriptures. So he will be able to understand the living entities flawlessly. Moving on further, this is what we discussed, that he sees Paramatma present in every body. And then moving on further, we're going to see the peace formula, right? What is the peace formula? Let's see that. This is the most favorite verses as well. Bhoktaram yajya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam gyatvam mam shantim rachati. A person in full consciousness of me, right? A person or a devotee or a Vaishnava or any person who's in full consciousness of me, who has a complete transcendental knowledge of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary, that I'm the Bhoktaram of all sacrifices and austerities that one does, the supreme Lord of all the planets and demigods, right? See here, Lord is establishing that he is the controller of anything and everything. He is the supreme Lord of all the planets and demigods and the benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities. he is the Suhurdam, right? There is something called as Bandhu Mitra as well, which we will learn that later once we get into Bhagavatam and all that. But he's the Suhurdam of all, well-wisher of all the living entities. Does he treat anybody biased or as such? No, he treats everyone with an equal, right? His work is to ensure that we go back to the Godhead. That's how he attains the peace from the pangs of material miseries. One who understands the peace formula is never entangled in the material miseries. There are three types of material miseries, right? One is Adibhautika, Adhyatmika, and what was the third one? Adidaivika, right? Adidaivika, Adibhautika, and Adhyatmika. These are the three material miseries as well, right? Adidaivika is which has been done by the demigods. Adhyatmika is done by self, right? And Adibhautika is done by the material nature or surrounding us. We will see this further. This is what we learned from the peace formula, which is Bhoktaram. That is the three main criteria in the Bhoktaram or the peace formula. One is that he is the supreme enjoyer, only and the only he is the supreme enjoyer. And how does he enjoy? We are called the enjoyed. We are being enjoyed by him. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is the supreme lord and the controller. He is the maintainer. He is the cause of all causes. Sarvakara Karana Karanam, right? Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the best friend of anyone and everyone. That's how Lord is establishing here with this particular what you call verse here, stating about Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam Yatva Mam Shantim Rachati. So this is exactly how he's trying to explain that a person should be realized, and the person should realize the three forms of realizations which we learned. One was the Brahman realization, the Paramatma realization, and the Bhagwan realization. And it is very easy to understand this particular realization once we are fixed in Krishna consciousness, right? There are other ways as well how to understand the Lord. Remember, we spoke in the yoga ladder. You can also learn the Jnana Yoga, which we are not interested in, and we also want to learn the Ashtanga Yoga. There were various processes which was prescribed in this particular chapter as well, which I skipped intentionally, which we will learn that later in the Ashtanga Yoga, detailed in the Ashtanga Yoga section. He says there are various ways, Arjuna, if you to control your senses. There are various ways which you want to come to me. By controlling your angas, ashtanga, and all that, you can do all that. But however, the most easiest way is if you are completely surrender and you understand the tattva of it, and you realize in Krishna consciousness, one can immediately can dispel all the darkness in them there is, and fall to the lotus feet of the Lord and get into devotional service, because this is the most ideal way to purify our consciousness. Moving on further, if we see here, if we remember, yesterday we gave the same example. Pandavas suffered so much, right? There were so many miseries, but they never lost faith in Lord Krishna. Same was the case with Kunti Maharani, right? Same was the case with Draupadi. They never lost faith. So the devotee of the Lord or a true Vaishnava will never lose any faith at all. But however, Markata Vairagya or a Falgu Vairagya will try to renounce, and they are so agitated. They are, remember we spoke about somebody who would want to lick the bottle of a honey from the outside, but they do not want to understand the tattva. They're like that. But however, here we are talking about somebody who understands the peace formula so well. This was about we all I'm sure most of us know about Prahlad Maharaj, how he was born, and how from the time he was born his own father was his enemy, right? Because his own father used to think that I'm the supreme lord, there is no other supreme lord than me. But he already got the transcendental knowledge, baby Prahlada, and he was being tortured in what you call with many things by serpents, by he was crushed under the elephant. I'm sure most of us are aware of these stories. or pastimes, which we can learn that in the what you call more in the 7th canto as well. And then finally he was tortured, where he was thrown from a hill as well. Finally, when Lord appeared, when what you call Hiranyakashipu asked him, "Show me your Lord. Where is the Lord?" He was fully stabilized, right? He was a fully steady, self-realized soul. So that's where Lord Narsimha came into act. We all know this particular story as well. Right, moving on, that's exactly how we completed our Karma Yoga section in the action in Krishna consciousness. And we can chant our Maha Mantra. And before we end our session, we would like to show you a small video clip as well. And post that, I will leave you with a question to ponder and to think. Now that we know about these three what you call doers, I would want to invoke your senses as well, or thoughts as well, to think and then answer me as to what would be the right answer. Before that, let's chant our Maha Mantra and close this particular session right now, and then we will see the clip. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's it. Okay, you want to show the... Yeah. Wait, let me stop the share. Yes.
I didn't share the notes.
The body changes.
Can you pause? Prabhuji, can one of you please confirm whether you're able to, what you call, hear, get the audio? Or give a thumbs up? Yes, its audio is clear. Yeah. Thank you,
Is
Mataji.
it not clear? That's clear. Okay. So therefore, the conclusion that when he not have this body, he will have another body. So, past, present, future, you exist. The body changes. Is it not clear?
That's clear.
Okay. So therefore, the conclusion that when he not have this body, he will have another body. You are sitting here. If you don't sit here, you go. That does not mean you are sitting, opportunity is lost. You are sitting here, you sit somewhere. Similarly, the change of body is going on. Therefore, the conclusion is that after you give up this body, you will have another body, as you have already done. What is the difficulty to understand?
The difficulty is that one
Well, the body is different from that of a bull. Different body must be different. Therefore, that is called change of body. Unless it is a different body, where is the change? The memory is there, the boy, and or the spirit is there. The memory, sometimes we may not remember, just like this child, he may not have memory when he was very small, but you have got memory. When he was a small child, you are doing something, or he was playing with some cats and dogs, but he does not remember that. But you remember it. So, simply because he has forgotten, does that mean that the incidences were not present? So this argument is not very strong because I cannot remember. You do not remember so many things. But the fact is this, that you are changing from this body to this body to this body. Therefore the conclusion should be, after this body I will accept another body. And that's a fact. As you have accepted in this life from one body to another body, there is a process how to accept it. Similarly, under the same process, you accept another body when this body is no longer useful. Just like at night, you give up this body, you take your subtle body and you go somewhere. You are sleeping in your room, but you are working in a different place. Don't you do that? So, because this body is still useful, therefore you come to back again this body, and in the morning you wake up with this body. So death means when this body is useless, you do not come to this body, you accept another body. This is called death. That subtle body takes you from this body to the womb of another mother by nature's direction, that this soul shall get this kind of body. So the soul is entered in the womb of another mother's body, and then the body is prepared by the mother's blood and flesh, and when the body is sufficiently capable of working itself, then it comes again and begins its work. This is birth and death. The soul is eternal. Therefore, a sober man should think, why should I change my body? Why this trouble I shall take? That is human sense. If I am eternal, why not my eternal body? Eternal existence, why shall I die? This is human sense. Unless one comes to this understanding, he is animal. Because animal, by nature's law, is going on. He does not know. Then a human form of body, when he understands that I will have to change this body, I will have to get another body, then the question is, what kind of body I shall get? That is human intelligence. By nature's way, we are getting body, but that is on the selection of the nature according to my work. If I work like animal, I get animal body. If I work as demigod, I get demigod body. If I act as trees, then you get tree body. If you acted like dog, you get dog's body. Nature's way. Therefore you find so many varieties of body. This philosophy does not appeal.
Everything in life is a negotiation.
Can you unmute yourself? Hare Krishna. So that was Srila Prabhupada explaining about the choices that one would want to take, whether we want to continue with this body, right? Someone just rightly asked in the chat as well. So once a person gets a human body, he will never get an animal body. Yeah, he just answered that question, as long as. So it's up to us whether we want to continue with this particular body, or whether we want to remain as a soul and become eternal and connect to the Lord and go back to Godhead, right? Right. So I have a question in terms of what you call, before you people raise questions, I have a question and want you people to think for a couple of minutes. We just saw three doers, right? We saw where the Jiva desires, right? And Paramatma, what you call, try to fulfill that particular desire, and then he gives a instruction to Mahamaya, that is a material nature or the Prakriti, and she in turn fulfills the Jiva's desire. Now, that is how the procedure works for a person who's a devotee or a non-devotee as well, right? So let me ask this straightforward question. Let's say you are in Krishna consciousness, right? You are already in Krishna consciousness, or you have surrendered to the Lord, you have a spiritual master, you are under the guidance of a Shiksha Guru. However, at times you might think that, oh, the act which I'm doing right now, whatever I'm trying to do right now, because we are still in the material world. Remember, I just said, because we are in the material world, we are covered by the material nature, which is Mahamaya, right? We are always covered by Mahamaya, and she doesn't spare anyone, be it a non-devotee or a devotee. These three gunas keep on haunting us because of that, right? So now that we are in the material nature, we are in Krishna consciousness, and at times the act that we do, so do you think the output of that particular act is what the Lord is sanctioning it, or is it covered by our illusion? How would you answer that? Let me open up what you call, maybe I will lower the hands. Who would want to try to give an answer for this? Okay, Radhika Mataji would want to answer this. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
According to my knowledge or what I'm getting from, like what I heard from our elders, Dadi or Nani, that we all are controlled by the God only. We are covered by material world, but then too, it depend on God, on Him, what we are doing now. Like with His permission, we are doing such things. If now also I'm sitting with you, that is because of His permission. That's what I feel.
Correct.
Whether we all are covered with material world, but without His permission, we cannot do anything.
Correct. Very good answer. Now, let's say if you still have a question, just like the way I asked a question. Now, I have done this activity and I still have a question, Prabhu. What do I do in this scenario? Am I still in the illusion mode? Because someone in the chat has just mentioned what you call, I think we are responsible for our actions. That's correct. We are responsible for our actions and God sanctions it, right? He sanctions it based on our desire and the karmic balance, right? God sanctions it if we desire strongly for something. That's correct. Renu Mataji is also correct. But let's say you are at a junction right now where you don't know what you have to do. Whether now that you know that Lord has sanctioned it, now how do you? What would you do in this scenario? Whether it's a right task or wrong task, whom will you seek the help for? Again, you will pray, Lord.
Yes, of course, because God always give us two ways. One is good way, and the other way is also there. So I think He has given us mind to think about it, which way we have to choose, whether we have to go with the correct one or the incorrect one.
Okay.
So it depend on our choice, which way we are choosing to go ahead in our life journey with all his permission, obviously.
True, but God will not give you the direction here. He has sanctioned it. So let's listen to
He
others
will
as well, Mataji.
he will show us the two ways. Like
Okay.
everything, if we actually, I'm at the age of 38, but now I come to know always we are having two ways. Like one is a good way, like all the ways we are having. So he's it depend on us. He's saying us that you choose on which path you want to walk.
Yes, yes, but at the same time, we will ask God, but God will,
Yes,
what you
to
call,
help
give
us.
us the, He will sanction us. But I think the answer somebody has perfectly understood. In the chats, we have Mathur and Amrita Mataji. The best part of is our ABCD formula. So we as a devotee, while we do not know what we have to do, we will seek the spiritual master. We will ask our gurus. Prabhu,
Yes,
is this
yes.
right? Because of our association, that's the best part of it. So that way, we know what we are doing is correct or wrong. Very good answer. So very good understanding. I think you people have understood the tattva. Thank you so much. Okay, so